My car had broken down about 3 miles from my apartment.
Dead battery.
Of course. Because why would anything be simple? Why would I remember to get it checked like I'd been meaning to for the past 2 months? So there I was, phone at 15% battery because naturally I'd forgotten to charge it, standing on the side of a road that barely qualified as a road, looking at the dark forest stretching out on both sides like something out of a cautionary tale. You know the kind. The ones that start with, "She shouldn't have gone into the woods alone." The ones where the audience is screaming at the screen, "Don't do it. Are you stupid?" But before we continue in my story, please tell me your name, where you're watching me from, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that we can build this community together. But here's the thing about real life. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Sometimes it's either walk through the potentially creepy woods or spend the night in your dead car hoping someone drives by. And given that I'd seen exactly 0 cars in the past hour, the woods were starting to look like the better option. So I made a choice. A shortcut. Just straight through, maybe a mile at most, and I'd hit the old highway where I could at least catch a signal and call for help.
Simple, right? Wrong.
So incredibly, catastrophically wrong. The moment I stepped off that road and into those trees, I felt it. That shift. You know what I'm talking about, right? That feeling when you cross a threshold and suddenly the air feels different? Heavier. Charged with something you can't name, but can definitely feel crawling across your skin like invisible fingers. The temperature dropped. Not gradually, instantly. Like I'd walked through some invisible barrier between the normal world and something else. The trees here were old. Ancient even. The kind that have been standing so long they've seen empires rise and fall, have watched humans evolve from cave dwellers to whatever mess we are now. Their branches twisted overhead like grasping hands, blocking out most of the moonlight except for these thin, silver streams that cut through the darkness like knives. And it was quiet.
Too quiet.
You ever notice how a forest at night usually has sounds? Crickets.
Owls.
The rustle of small creatures moving through the underbrush. Something. Always something. But this forest? Silent. Like every living thing had fled. Like they knew something I didn't. Like they had better survival instincts than I did. I should have turned back right then. That's what you're thinking, isn't it? You're sitting there, maybe in your comfortable room or on your commute or wherever you are right now, and you're thinking, "Girl, turn around. Walk back to the car. Wait it out." And you're right. I should have. But I didn't. Because I'm stubborn. Because I was tired and cold and honestly a little too proud to admit that yes, I was scared of some stupid trees and shadows. Because I convinced myself I was being ridiculous, that I was letting my imagination run wild, that there was nothing in these woods except deer and maybe some raccoons and my own paranoid thoughts. I kept walking. And that's when I heard it. The growl.
Low.
So low, it was almost below the range of hearing. More of a vibration that you feel in your chest than an actual sound. The kind of rumble that speaks to something primal in your DNA, something that remembers when humans were prey and not predators. I stopped. Dead stop. Mid-step. Not even breathing. Listening. Was it behind me? To the left? The acoustics in the forest played tricks, made it impossible to pinpoint. The sound seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. My heart was doing this thing, you know, the thing where it feels like it's trying to punch its way out of your ribcage. My hands started shaking. That cold sweat breaking out across your skin, even though you're already freezing. Every horror movie I'd ever seen, every survival documentary, every true crime podcast suddenly came flooding back. All those warnings. All those stories of people who went into the woods and never came back. And I thought about running. But here's what they don't tell you about fear. The real, gut-churning, primal kind. It doesn't always make you run. Sometimes it freezes you, locks your muscles, makes you a statue while your brain screams at your body to move, to do something, to stop being an idiot and run. Then I heard it again. Closer this time. Definitely closer. And this time I could tell which direction. Behind me, to my left, maybe 20 feet away, maybe less. I turned my head slowly, so slowly, because some part of me believed that if I moved too fast, if I acknowledged the threat, it would make it real. It would trigger something. The underbrush rustled, branches cracking, something moving, something big. And I thought, this is it. This is how it ends. Eaten by a bear in the woods because I was too stubborn to stay with my car. But it wasn't a bear. Oh, how I wish it had been a bear.
I saw the eyes first.
Glowing. Actually glowing. Like there was fire behind them, burning in the darkness. Not the reflective shine you see when you catch an animal in your headlights. This was different. This was light emanating from within. Amber and gold, and something that looked almost like molten metal. They were high up. Too high. Whatever this was, it wasn't on all fours. It was standing. Upright. Like a human.
But no human had eyes like that.
The rational part of my brain was trying so hard to make sense of what I was seeing. Trying to categorize it, to fit it into something I could understand. A person with reflective contacts? Some kind of optical illusion? A trick of the moonlight? But the primitive part of my brain, the part that still remembers when we huddled in caves and feared the dark, that part knew exactly what I was looking at. Predator. Top of the food chain. Nightmare made flesh. The shape moved forward, and that's when I saw the rest of it. Massive. Easily 7 feet tall, maybe more. Broad shoulders that seemed too wide to be real. A body that was caught somewhere between human and animal, like nature couldn't decide which it wanted to be, so it chose both. Fur, dark, almost black in the dim light, covering arms that ended in hands that were too large, with fingers that curved into claws. And the face. Oh God, the face. A wolf. But not. The snout was there, yes, and the ears, but the structure underneath was too human. Too aware. Too intelligent. This wasn't some mindless beast. This was something that could think, could plan, could decide whether I lived or died with what I could only assume was conscious thought. Every muscle in my body finally got the message.
Run.
I ran. I don't even remember making the decision. One moment I was frozen, staring into those impossible eyes, and the next my legs were moving, carrying me deeper into the forest, away from that thing. Branches whipped at my face. Roots grabbed at my feet. My lungs burned with the effort of pulling in air that felt too thick, too cold. And behind me, I could hear it. Following. Not rushing. Not charging. Just following. With this steady, patient pace that was somehow more terrifying than if it had been chasing me at full speed. Because that meant it knew. It knew I couldn't escape. It knew these woods better than I ever could. It was just letting me tire myself out, letting me run until I couldn't run anymore. Playing with its food. I tried to scream. Opened my mouth and pushed air through my vocal cords, but what came out was this pathetic, broken sound that got swallowed by the trees and the darkness. No one would hear. No one would come. I was alone with this thing. My foot caught on something, a root, a rock, I don't know, and I went down hard. Hands scraped across dirt and stones. The impact knocked the wind out of me, left me gasping like a fish out of water. This is it, I thought. This is where it ends. I rolled onto my back, some instinct telling me I'd rather face my death than have it come from behind. And there it was, standing over me, blocking out the moon. Those eyes looking down at me with an intensity that made my skin feel like it was on fire. I waited for the pain, for the claws, for the teeth. But it didn't attack. It just watched me, tilted its head slightly, like it was studying me, trying to figure something out. And I know this sounds insane. I know you're probably thinking I'd lost my mind from fear, that I was in shock, that I was seeing things that weren't there. But I swear I saw something in those eyes. Curiosity. Not hunger. Not rage. Not the mindless violence I'd expected. Curiosity. We stayed like that for what felt like hours but was probably only seconds. Me on the ground, heart hammering so hard I could hear it in my ears. The creature standing over me, motionless except for the rise and fall of its massive chest. And then it did something I never expected. It stepped back, gave me space. I didn't move. Couldn't move. My brain couldn't process what was happening. Every survival instinct I had was screaming at me to stay down, to play dead, to not provoke it. But it kept backing up. Slowly.
Deliberately.
until there was maybe 10 feet between us. And then it actually sat down, right there in the middle of the forest, like it was inviting me to do the same. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I should have run again. That this was my chance to get away while it was giving me space. But here's the thing, and I can't fully explain this. Even now, I didn't want to run anymore. That primal terror that had been coursing through my veins? It was still there, don't get me wrong. But it was mixing with something else now. Something I didn't have a name for. I pulled myself up into a sitting position, winced at the scrapes on my palms, kept my eyes locked on the creature, because looking away felt dangerous. "What are you?" I whispered. My voice sounded strange.
Small.
Like it didn't belong in this moment, in this place. The creature's ears twitched. It heard me. And then, I swear I'm not making this up, it made a sound that was almost like a laugh. Not quite human, not quite animal. Something in between. The absurdity of the situation hit me all at once. I was sitting in the middle of a dark forest, having a moment with a creature that shouldn't exist. A werewolf. An actual, honest-to-God werewolf. Because what else could it be? And instead of eating me like every legend and movie said it should, it was sitting there, watching me like I was the most interesting thing it had ever seen. "Are you going to kill me?" I asked. Another valid question, I thought. It shook its head. Actually shook its head. A very deliberate, very human gesture. My heart was still racing, but the quality of the fear had changed. It wasn't the blind panic anymore. It was something more complex. Fear mixed with fascination. Terror mixed with wonder. Can you understand me? A nod this time. Oh God. This was real. This was actually happening. I should have been running. Should have been screaming. Should have been doing literally anything except sitting there having a conversation, if you could call it that, with a monster. But you know what I did instead? I stayed. We sat there in that forest for what must have been an hour. I know how that sounds. Believe me, I'm aware of how absolutely insane this is. But I need you to understand something. In that moment, with the moonlight filtering through the trees and this impossible creature sitting across from me, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. I felt seen. Not just looked at. Seen. Like this being, this thing that shouldn't exist, was looking past all the masks I wore, all the walls I'd built, straight into the core of who I was. And instead of finding me lacking, instead of judging or dismissing or attacking, it just accepted, acknowledged, recognized something in me that maybe I didn't even recognize in myself. I started talking, just rambling really, about my life, about how I'd ended up in these woods, about how I felt stuck, trapped in a life that didn't fit quite right, like wearing shoes that were the wrong size. Did it understand the specifics of what I was saying? I don't know. Probably not. But it listened. Attentive. Present in a way that most humans never are. And slowly, so slowly, I almost didn't notice it happening, I started to relax. The creature shifted. Moved a little closer. Still giving me space, but closing the distance incrementally. I should have been afraid. Some part of me was. But that part was getting quieter, drowned out by something else. Fascination? Maybe. Attraction?
Wait. No.
That's not what this was. Right? But I'd be lying if I said I didn't notice the way it moved. Graceful despite its size. Powerful but controlled. There was something almost beautiful about it. In a terrifying, otherworldly way. The creature reached out one massive hand, slowly, carefully, giving me every opportunity to pull back. And I didn't. I should have. I know I should have. But I didn't. Those clawed fingers, which should have torn me apart, which could have torn me apart so easily, touched my hand with a gentleness I didn't think was possible. The fur was softer than I expected.
Warm.
And I felt it. This surge of something electric shooting up my arm, spreading through my chest, making my breath catch. The creature felt it too. I could tell by the way those eyes widened slightly, the way its breath hitched in a very human way. What was happening? This wasn't supposed to be possible. This kind of connection, this kind of whatever this was, it didn't happen between humans and monsters. Did it? The moon shifted overhead. A cloud that had been covering it drifted away, and suddenly we were bathed in full, brilliant moonlight. And the creature began to change. Not the way you're thinking. Not the horror movie transformation with cracking bones and screams of pain. This was different. Almost graceful. Like watching time-lapse footage of a flower blooming, but in reverse. The fur receded. The massive frame compacted. The snout shortened. The claws retracted. I watched, transfixed, as the monster became a man. And not just any man. He was beautiful. I mean objectively, scientifically beautiful. The kind of face that artists would want to paint. Sharp cheekbones. Strong jaw. Dark hair that fell across his forehead in waves. And those eyes, still amber, still glowing slightly in the moonlight, looking at me with an intensity that made my stomach flip. He was also completely naked. I looked away quickly, heat flooding my face. "Sorry," he said. His voice. Oh God, his voice. Deep and rough, like he didn't use it often, but somehow soft at the same time. Clothes don't really survive the transformation," he continued. There was a hint of amusement in his tone. I risked a glance back. He'd moved behind a tree, giving himself some modesty, though I could still see his face, his shoulders. "You're a werewolf," I said, stating the obvious, but I needed to hear myself say it out loud. Needed to make it real. Yes. Just that. Simple acknowledgement. No apology, no explanation. Just truth. "And you didn't kill me." "No." "Why?" He was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. "I don't know. This has never happened before." "What has never happened before?" He stepped out from behind the tree. Still naked, I kept my eyes firmly on his face, but somehow less vulnerable than before. Like he'd made a decision about something. "This," he gestured between us. "This connection. I felt it the moment I caught your scent. You weren't supposed to be here in these woods. And I was supposed to." He trailed off. "Hunt me." I finished.
Yes.
"That's what we do. What I do. On the full moon, when the change takes me, I hunt. It's instinct. Primal. Unavoidable. But you didn't."
No.
"Because when I saw you, when I got close enough to really see you, something else took over. Something stronger than the hunger, stronger than the instinct." He took a step closer. I didn't move away. "What?" I whispered. "I don't have a word for it. Maybe there isn't a word for it. But I felt like I'd been looking for you my entire life, without knowing I was looking. This is the part where I should have run. Where any sane person would have thanked their lucky stars that the werewolf decided not to eat them and gotten the hell out of those woods as fast as humanly possible. But you've probably figured out by now that I'm not particularly good at doing the smart thing." "I felt it too," I said. The words came out before I could stop them. Before I could think about what I was admitting, what I was opening myself up to. His eyes locked onto mine. That amber glow intensified. "You did." I nodded. "When you touched my hand." Before you changed." It was like electricity. Like recognition. Like some part of me that I didn't even know existed suddenly woke up and said, "Oh, there you are. I've been waiting for you." He moved closer. I could feel the heat radiating off his skin, even though there were still a few feet between us. "This is crazy," I continued. "This whole thing is completely insane. You're a werewolf." I'm just a normal person who takes shortcuts through forests and apparently has terrible survival instincts. This doesn't happen. This isn't how the world works." "I know. We just met. I don't even know your name." "Marcus." "Marcus," I repeated, testing the sound of it. I know who you are," he interrupted gently. I've seen you before. Around town. At the coffee shop on 5th Street. The one with the terrible music and the good pastries." That stopped me. "You've been watching me?" "Not like that. Not stalking. I noticed you. Months ago. There was something about you that I couldn't look away from even then. Before tonight. Before any of this." His honesty was disarming. Most people would have lied, would have tried to make it sound less intense, less potentially creepy. But there was something refreshing about the directness. The truth, uncomfortable as it might be. So, what happens now? I asked. The question hung in the air between us. Heavy. Loaded with implications. Because we both knew what I was really asking. We both knew that there was something here, something building between us, something that defied logic and reason, and every self-preservation instinct I should have had. That depends, he said. On what? On whether you trust me. Should I? He considered this. Actually thought about it instead of giving me some easy reassurance. Honestly, I don't know. I'm dangerous. What I am, what I become when the moon is full. I can't fully control it. I could hurt you. Not intentionally, but the beast doesn't always listen to the man. You didn't hurt me tonight. Tonight was different. Tonight I was more in control than usual. Because of you. Because of whatever this is between us. But I can't guarantee it will always be that way. More honesty. More brutal truth. So you're saying I should walk away? I said. I'm saying you should consider it very carefully before you decide to stay. The thing is, I had already decided. Somewhere between the moment I saw those amber eyes in the darkness and now, standing in a moonlit clearing with a man who turned into a wolf, I had made my choice. I just needed to say it out loud. I'm staying. 2 words. Simple. Final. The effect on Marcus was immediate. His whole body seemed to relax, like he'd been holding tension I hadn't even noticed until it released. Are you sure? No, I admitted. I'm not sure about anything right now. But I know that if I walk away, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering what might have happened. What this could have been. And I think that would haunt me more than anything else. He closed the distance between us in 2 long strides. Still giving me space, still not touching me, but close enough that I could see the flecks of gold in his eyes, could count his heartbeats in the pulse at his throat. I need you to understand something, he said, voice low and serious. If we do this, if we cross this line, there's no going back. My kind, we don't do casual. We don't do temporary. When we bond with someone, it's forever. I supplied. He nodded. Soul deep. Permanent. It changes you on a fundamental level. Changes me how? I don't know exactly. It's different for everyone. But there's always a change. A mark. A connection that can't be broken. This should have scared me. Should have set me running for the hills. Instead, I felt a thrill run through me. A sense of rightness that made no logical sense, but felt true on some deeper level. Show me, I whispered. His eyes widened. Are you? Show me, I repeated, stronger this time. Whatever this is, whatever happens, I want to know. I want to feel it. For a long moment, he just looked at me, searching my face for any sign of doubt, any hesitation. He must not have found any, because he finally reached out and cupped my face in his hands. The touch was electric. Literally. I felt sparks dancing across my skin where his fingers made contact. Not painful, the opposite. It felt like every nerve ending in my body had suddenly woken up, heightened, aware. Last chance, he murmured. Walk away now, and I won't follow. I'll let you go back to your normal life and pretend this never happened. And if I stay, then everything changes. I leaned into his touch. I'm not afraid of change. That was all the permission he needed. He kissed me like he'd been holding back for centuries and had finally been given permission to let go. Fierce. Consuming. All-encompassing. His hands tangled in my hair. My fingers dug into his shoulders. The world around us seemed to fade away until there was nothing but this moment, this connection, this impossible, perfect rightness. And I felt it. The change he'd warned me about. It started as warmth in my chest. A glow, like someone had lit a candle inside my ribcage. Then it spread. Through my veins. Through my muscles. Through my very bones. It didn't hurt. It felt like coming home. Like finding a piece of yourself you didn't know was missing and having it click into place with an almost audible snap. I pulled back, gasping. What was that? Marcus's eyes were glowing brighter now. almost blazing. The bond, he breathed. It's starting. Starting? You mean it's not done? He shook his head. It takes time to fully form.
Hours.
Maybe days. But once it begins. He trailed off, looking at me with something like wonder. There's no stopping it now. What happens when it's complete? You'll be able to feel me. My emotions, my thoughts sometimes. And I'll feel you. We'll be connected on a level that most people never experience. And the physical changes? He hesitated. Marcus. Tell me. You'll be stronger.
Faster.
Heal quicker. Your senses will sharpen. And on full moons. He paused, seeming to struggle with how to explain. You won't transform like I do. The curse, that's mine alone. But you'll feel it. The pull of the moon. The wildness. The freedom of it. I should have been terrified. This was body horror. Transformation. Loss of humanity. But all I felt was excitement. Is that wrong? Is there something broken in me that I heard? You're being fundamentally altered by a supernatural bond. And thought, yes, please, more of that? Maybe.
Probably.
But I didn't care. Kiss me again, I demanded. He smiled, really smiled for the first time, and it transformed his face from beautiful to absolutely devastating. As you wish. I'm not going to give you every detail of what happened next. Some moments are sacred. Private. Just for the people who lived them. But I will tell you this. It was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. Because this wasn't just physical. It wasn't just two bodies coming together in the moonlight, though yes, there was definitely that. It was a merging, a blending. With every touch, every kiss, every whispered word, I could feel the bond strengthening, deepening, becoming permanent. I could feel his wonder,
His joy.
his desperate, aching need that matched my own. And he could feel mine. Every spike of pleasure, every moment of tenderness, every surge of emotion that threatened to overwhelm me. We were becoming one entity split into two bodies. Under the full moon, in a clearing deep in the woods, we gave ourselves to each other completely. And when it was over, when we lay tangled together on the forest floor, our breathing slowly returning to normal, the bond thrumming between us like a living thing, I knew that nothing would ever be the same. No regrets. Marcus asked softly, his fingers tracing patterns on my skin. None, I answered honestly. You, how could I regret finding my other half? His other half. That's what I was now. Not just his lover. Not just someone he cared about. His other half. His mate. His forever. And he was mine. I should have been freaking out. This was all happening so fast. Too fast. We'd gone from strangers to soulmates in the space of a few hours. But time felt different here, in this space between worlds. Linear progression didn't seem to apply. Maybe we'd had a few hours. Maybe we'd had lifetimes. It felt like both simultaneously. What happens now? I asked. When we leave this clearing and go back to the real world? We figured out, he said simply. Together. Together. Such a simple word. Such a profound promise. I nestled closer to him, feeling safe despite the absurdity of the situation. Safe in the arms of a werewolf in the middle of the woods. We should probably get you home, Marcus said after a while. It'll be dawn soon. I didn't want to leave. Didn't want this perfect, impossible night to end. But he was right. The real world was waiting. And we'd have to figure out how to exist in it. Marcus walked me back to my car. He'd managed to find some clothes. Don't ask me where or how. I learned quickly not to question werewolf logistics. And in jeans and a t-shirt, he looked almost normal. Almost. There was still that otherworldly quality to him. That sense of contained power. The way his eyes caught the pre-dawn light and glowed just slightly. My car started on the first try, naturally. Because of course it did now that I didn't need it to be broken down anymore. I'll follow you home, Marcus said. Make sure you get there safely. You don't have to. I want to. The bond hummed between us. I could feel his need to protect, to ensure my safety. And honestly, I didn't mind it. We drove through the empty pre-dawn streets. My phone had died hours ago, My roommate was probably freaking out, but I couldn't bring myself to care. When we reached my apartment, Marcus parked behind me, but didn't get out immediately. I walked back to his truck. Yes, he'd somehow gotten to a truck, again, don't ask, and leaned in through the window. Will I see you again? I asked, hating how uncertain I sounded. We were bonded, for God's sake. But doubt still crept in. He reached out and cupped my cheek, and immediately I felt his emotions flood through the connection. Affection, certainty, amusement at my doubt. You'll see me every day for the rest of your life if I have anything to say about it, he said firmly. I'll give you some time to process everything.
To rest.
To deal with your worried roommate. But I'll be back tonight. Promise. I promise. You won't get rid of me that easily. I kissed him. Quick and hard. A promise of my own. Then I forced myself to step back, to walk away, to go inside. The apartment was dark. My roommate, Jess, must have gone to bed. I'd deal with her questions in the morning. I stumbled to my room, still wearing my torn, dirt-stained clothes from the forest. I should shower. Should clean up. Instead, I collapsed onto my bed and immediately fell into the deepest sleep of my life. I woke to sunlight streaming through my window and Jess pounding on my door. You're alive, she shrieked the moment I opened it. I was about to call the cops. Where the hell were you? Your phone's been off for hours, and she stopped mid-rant, her eyes going wide. What happened to you? I looked down at myself, still in yesterday's clothes, covered in dirt and leaves, probably looking like I'd been through a war. I got lost in the woods, I said. Not technically a lie. Lost in the woods, she repeated flatly. For an entire night. My car broke down. I tried to take a shortcut. It's a whole thing. She crossed her arms, clearly not buying it. And the guy. My heart skipped. What guy? The insanely hot guy who followed you home. I saw him from my window. Tall, dark, mysterious. Very, I could kill you, but I won't because I'm too sexy. Who is he? How did I answer that? Oh, that's Marcus, my werewolf soulmate that I bonded with last night under the full moon. Just someone I met, I said lamely. Jess's eyes lit up with glee. Oh my God, you had a hookup in the woods. You absolute legend. It wasn't just, I sputtered. I want all the details. But first you need to shower. You smell like forest, and she sniffed the air near me. Honestly, I don't even know. Just go clean up. Then we're talking. I agreed hastily and escaped to the bathroom. The shower felt amazing. Hot water sluicing away the dirt and debris from the night before. I was washing my hair when I noticed it. My hands. They looked different. The scrapes from when I'd fallen should have been there. Should have been scabbed over, tender. They were gone. Completely healed. Not even a scar. I turned off the water with shaking hands and grabbed a towel. Wiped the steam off the mirror. And froze. My reflection looked back at me. Still me, but sharper somehow. My features more defined. My skin seemed to glow. And my eyes had flecks of gold in them. They'd always been brown. Plain, normal brown. Now they were brown shot through with gold. Just like Marcus's eyes. The bond, I thought. It's changing me. This was real. All of it. Not some fever dream or hallucination brought on by fear and adrenaline.
Real.
And I was different now. Fundamentally.
Permanently.
Over the next few hours, I discovered just how different I'd become. My hearing had sharpened. I could hear conversations happening in apartments above and below mine. Could hear cars on the street outside with crystal clarity. Could distinguish individual heartbeats when Jess came close. My sense of smell had gone into overdrive. I could track the scent of the coffee Jess made from my room. Could smell the neighbor's dog 2 floors down. Could detect the faint trace of Marcus on my skin even after the shower. And I was stronger. Not werewolf strong, but when I picked up my bag, which I normally needed 2 hands for, it felt light as a feather. Faster too. I'd gone to grab something from the kitchen and moved so quickly, I nearly ran into the counter. You okay? Jess asked, looking up from her laptop. You seem jumpy. Fine. I lied. Just didn't sleep well. Another lie. I'd slept better than I had in years.
Deep.
Dreamless. Restorative. My phone had finally charged. 17 missed calls from Jess. 3 from my mom. And 1 text from an unknown number. Unknown. I'm counting the hours until I see you again. How are you feeling? It had to be Marcus. I didn't question how he got my number. Added him to my contacts. Me. Different. Weird. Good weird, but weird. Is this normal? Marcus. Very normal. The changes will stabilize over the next few days.
Call me if you need anything.
I mean it. Anything.
I wanted to call him right then.
Wanted to hear his voice, to feel the bond strengthen with proximity. But Jess was watching me with sharp eyes, and I knew if I made that call, I'd never hear the end of it. Tonight, I told myself. I'd see him tonight. I could wait a few hours.
Right? Wrong.
Turns out I couldn't wait. By mid-afternoon, I was crawling out of my skin. The bond pulled at me like a physical thing. An ache in my chest that got worse with every passing hour. I needed to see him. Needed to be near him. It was irrational and intense and slightly terrifying. Okay, that's it, Jess declared, shutting her laptop with a snap. You've been staring at your phone for 20 minutes. Just call the guy. I'm not. Don't even try to deny it. You've got it bad. Mystery Woods hookup got under your skin. So call him. Text him. Whatever you kids do these days. She wasn't wrong. I did have it bad. I grabbed my phone and retreated to my room. I know you said tonight, but I don't think I can wait that long. Is that crazy? His response was immediate. Marcus, not crazy. I've been fighting the same urge all day. Where are you? My apartment. Marcus. I'll be there in 10 minutes. 9 minutes later, there was a knock at my door. I practically ran to open it. And there he was. In the daylight in my normal apartment building, he looked even more out of place. Too large for the narrow hallway. Too wild for the domestic setting. But his eyes, when they met mine, warm and golden and full of relief, made my heart skip. Hi, I breathed. Hi, he echoed. We stood there for a moment, just looking at each other. The bond hummed between us, satisfied at the proximity. Okay, I'm coming out, Jess called from inside. I need to meet this guy who has you acting like... Oh wow. She'd appeared behind me, and from her expression, she was getting her first good look at Marcus. Jess, this is Marcus. Marcus, my roommate Jess. Pleasure, Marcus said politely, but his eyes never left me.
Yeah,
Pleasure, Jess repeated faintly. Then, to me in a whisper that was definitely loud enough for Marcus to hear with his enhanced hearing. Where did you find him? Is there a store? Can I get directions? Jess.
What?
I'm just saying, if you found one, there must be more. Share with the class. Marcus's lips twitched with amusement. We're going out, I said quickly, grabbing my jacket. I'll be back later.
Sure. Out.
Jess made exaggerated air quotes. Have fun. Be safe. Use protection. Oh my God. Bye. I practically shoved Marcus toward the stairs, my face burning. His laughter followed us down. We ended up at a park. Neutral territory. Somewhere we could talk without the pressure of being in his space or mine. Sorry about Jess, I said as we walked along a tree-lined path. She means well. She's just a lot. She's protective of you. I like that. She also thinks you're very hot. She's not wrong. I laughed despite myself. Modest. Practical. I know what I look like. He glanced at me sidelong. How are you really doing? With the changes? Honestly, it's overwhelming. Everything is so much more intense. Sounds, smells, sensations. It's like someone turned up the volume on the whole world. It'll get easier. You'll learn to filter, to control it. I can help teach you. And the strength thing? I nearly put my hand through my coffee mug this morning. He winced sympathetically. Yeah, that takes some getting used to. I broke a lot of things when I first turned. You're actually adapting faster than most would. Because of the bond? Probably. It's accelerating the integration, making the changes smoother. We found a bench overlooking a small pond and sat. Marcus, what exactly am I now? I asked quietly. Am I human still? He was quiet for a long moment. You're human, he said finally. Enhanced but human. The bond doesn't change your fundamental nature. It just adds to it, amplifies certain aspects. But I have gold in my eyes now. A mark of the bond. It'll fade a little as it stabilizes, but you'll always have traces of it. And when the full moon comes, you said I'd feel it. You will. The pull. The wildness. But you won't transform. That's my curse alone. His voice carried old pain when he said that. How did it happen? How did you become this? He looked out over the water. I was 19, camping with friends in these woods. We were drunk, stupid, thought we were invincible. Something came out of the dark. Attacked. Killed 2 of my friends. I barely survived. I'm sorry. It was a long time ago. 15 years. I've learned to live with it. To control it mostly. But it's always there. Always a part of me. Do you hate it? Being a werewolf. He considered this. Sometimes. When I think about everything I've lost. The normal life I could have had. But other times. He turned to me, and his eyes held mine. Other times I think that if I hadn't been bitten, I never would have been in those woods last night. Never would have found you. And I can't hate anything that led me to you. My breath caught. That's incredibly romantic for someone who turns into a giant wolf, I managed. He smiled. I contain multitudes. We spent the rest of the afternoon together. Talking. Learning about each other. Making up for the courtship we'd skipped by jumping straight to soulmates. I learned that Marcus worked as a carpenter. That he lived alone in a cabin on the edge of the woods. That he'd been lonely for a very long time, keeping people at a distance because of what he was. He learned about my job at the bookstore. My love of old movies. My tendency to make impulsive decisions that usually worked out but sometimes spectacularly didn't. Like shortcuts through dark forests, he teased. Exactly like that. The sun was starting to set when his phone rang. He glanced at the screen and frowned. I need to take this. Of course. He walked a few feet away. I couldn't help but listen in enhanced hearing, remember? What is it, Derek? Marcus said, tension creeping into his voice. A pause while the person on the other end spoke. When? Marcus demanded. Another pause. Shit. Are you sure it's them? The longest pause yet. Marcus's whole body had gone rigid. No, he said flatly. Absolutely not. I left that life behind. More talking from Derek. I don't care what they want. I'm not interested. His eyes cut to me. I have something more important now. When he finally hung up, his expression was dark. What's wrong? I asked. He came back to the bench, but didn't sit. Stood in front of me, radiating tension. That was a friend. From my old pack. You were in a pack? A long time ago, right after I was turned. They took me and taught me control. But I left 5 years ago. We didn't part on the best terms. And apparently they're looking for me. They've been tracking me for weeks. They're close. Might already be in the city. A chill ran down my spine. Why? What do they want? Nothing good. He ran a hand through his hair, clearly agitated. There are rules in the werewolf world. Laws. One of them is that lone wolves without a pack, are considered unstable. Dangerous. But you're not unstable. I know that. You know that. But they don't care. As far as they're concerned, I'm a loose end that needs to be dealt with. Dealt with how? He met my eyes, and I saw the answer there before he spoke it. They'll try to force me back into the pack. Or kill me if I refuse. No. The word came out fierce, final. That's not happening. It might not be up to us, Marcus said gently. The hell it isn't. You said we're bonded. That we're in this together. So we figure it out. Together. He looked at me with something like wonder. You're not scared? Oh, I'm terrified. But I'm not letting some pack of werewolves take you away from me. Not happening.
Not now.
Not ever. The bond flared between us, responding to my determination, my fierce protectiveness. Marcus pulled me to my feet and kissed me hard. How did I get so lucky? Fate? Destiny? My terrible sense of direction? I pulled back. What do we do? We prepare. Derek said they're coming tomorrow night, the day after the full moon. Why then? Because we're weakest the day after the change. Exhausted. Vulnerable. They're smart. So we don't fight them when we're weak. We change the terms of engagement. He raised an eyebrow. What are you thinking? I'm thinking you're not alone anymore. I'm thinking that I might be new to this whole supernatural world, but I'm a fast learner. And I'm thinking that we have advantages they don't know about. Like me. They don't know about me, do they? About the bond.
No.
Derek sounded surprised when I mentioned having something important. He wouldn't have told the others. He was never loyal to the pack, just trapped by it like I was.
Good. So we have surprise on our side.
And you know these woods better than anyone. Home territory advantage. Marcus was looking at me like he was seeing me for the first time. You're serious. You actually want to fight them? I want to keep you safe. If that means fighting, then yes. You could get hurt. Killed. So could you. That's not a reason not to try. He was quiet for a long moment. Then there might be another way. Something I swore I'd never do again. What? I could call the pack I'm actually allied with now. The good ones. They're small, independent, don't follow the old laws. They'd help. Why haven't you mentioned them before? Because calling them would mean revealing where I am, what I've been doing. They respect my privacy, but once I break that silence. He shook his head. Everything changes again. Everything already changed, I pointed out. The moment we bonded. You can't hide anymore anyway. Not with me in the picture. True. He pulled out his phone, stared at it for a moment, then started typing. What are you doing? Texting my alpha. Asking for help. And telling him about you. Will he be angry? That you bonded without permission or whatever? Probably thrilled. He's been nagging me to find a mate for years. Marcus hit send and pocketed his phone. Okay. It's done. Now we wait. How long? Knowing Nathaniel? He'll be here by midnight. Marcus was right. At 11:47 p.m., there was a knock on his cabin door. We'd gone there after the park. It made more sense to be on his territory, in his space, where he was strongest. The cabin was exactly what I'd imagined. Rustic, but well-maintained. Large enough for one person, but clearly built for someone who needed space. Lots of windows looking out onto the forest. Marcus opened the door to reveal a man who looked to be in his 40s, though with werewolves, age was hard to determine. Nathaniel, Marcus greeted him. Marcus. The man's eyes slid past him to me. And this must be the surprise. This is. I know who she is. Nathaniel stepped inside uninvited, circling me slowly. I can smell the bond on her.
Fresh.
Powerful. He looked at Marcus with approval. You didn't waste time. It wasn't planned. The best things never are. Nathaniel extended a hand to me. Nathaniel Cross, Alpha of the Grey Ridge Pack. Pleasure to meet the woman who finally caught our Marcus. I shook his hand, noting the strength in his grip. Nice to meet you too. She's handling this remarkably well, Nathaniel observed. She's stronger than she looks, Marcus said. I can hear you both talking about me, I interjected. I'm right here. Nathaniel laughed. I like her. All right, let's talk business. Derek's pack is approximately 15 miles east of here as of 2 hours ago. 7 members, all battle-tested. They'll attack tomorrow night as predicted. How many are you bringing? Marcus asked. 4, including myself. We're outnumbered, but we're better trained. And me, I added. Both men looked at me. Absolutely not, Marcus said immediately. I'm not sitting on the sidelines while you fight for your life. You've had less than 24 hours to adjust to the changes. You can't. I can, and I will. I'm part of this now. The bond makes me part of this. She's right. Nathaniel said quietly. The bond does make her part of it. And, honestly, we could use every advantage. A bonded mate fighting alongside her wolf? That's powerful magic, Marcus. The kind that could turn the tide. Marcus looked between us, clearly torn. If anything happens to her, then we fail. I know, which is why we'll make sure nothing happens to her. Nathaniel's expression turned serious. I won't lie to you. This will be dangerous. Deadly even. But I've seen bonded pairs fight together. It's like nothing else in this world. I moved to Marcus's side, taking his hand. I trust you to keep me safe. And I'll do everything I can to keep you safe too. That's what partners do. He closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, they glowed with that amber light. All right. We do this together. The next day was spent training. Nathaniel's pack arrived at dawn. 4 wolves, each one unique, but all carrying themselves with the same quiet confidence. There was Elena, a woman in her 30s with striking silver hair and eyes that missed nothing. She took charge of teaching me hand-to-hand combat. You're faster than a human now, she explained, demonstrating a series of moves. Stronger.
2.
But strength without technique is useless. You need to learn how to use your advantages. We sparred for hours. At first, I was clumsy, uncertain. But gradually I began to understand. Began to feel how my body moved differently now. How I could anticipate movements before they happened. The bond helped. I could feel Marcus even across the clearing where he was planning strategy with Nathaniel. Could sense his concern, his pride, his love. It strengthened me. Good, Elena said after I'd successfully countered one of her attacks. You're learning. Now, let's work on aggression. When they come at you, you can't hesitate. Hesitation gets you killed. By afternoon, I was exhausted but exhilarated. I could fight. Maybe not well enough to take on a werewolf alone, but well enough to hold my own. To support Marcus. As the sun began to set, we gathered in Marcus's cabin for final preparations. They'll come from the east, Nathaniel said, pointing to a map spread across the table. They'll expect Marcus to be alone, weakened from last night's transformation. When they realize he is back up, they'll try to separate us. Pick us off one by one. So we don't let them separate us, I said. Exactly. We fight as a unit. Elena and Gabriel will take the flanks. Marcus and I will be center. He looked at me. You stay close to Marcus. Use the bond. Let it guide you. When he moves, you move. When he attacks, you support. You're not just 2 fighters, you're one weapon with 2 edges.
It was a lot to take in.
But I understood the core of it. Stay close to Marcus. Fight together.
Survive.
As darkness fell, we took our positions in the clearing behind Marcus's cabin. And we waited. They came with the full dark. 7 shapes melting out of the shadows. All in human form, but the menace rolling off them was palpable. The leader was a tall man with a scar running down his face. His eyes locked onto Marcus. Marcus Thorne, he called out. It's been a long time. Not long enough, Victor, Marcus replied coldly. The council has ordered your return. You've been loaned too long. It's time to come home. I am home. Victor's eyes swept over the rest of us. His expression darkened. You've made new friends. How touching. It won't save you. I'm not asking to be saved. I'm asking you to leave. Walk away, and no one has to die tonight. You know we can't do that. Council law is clear. You're either with us or against you. I know. Marcus's hands clenched into fists. Then I guess we're against you. The transformation was instantaneous. Victor and his pack shifted in a blur of fur and rage, their human forms giving way to massive wolf bodies. Marcus shifted a heartbeat later. And God, even though I'd seen it before, it was still breathtaking. The raw power of it. The primal beauty. Nathaniel's pack shifted as well. And then chaos. They came at us like a wave of teeth and claws. Victor made straight for Marcus, and I watched in horror as they collided with earth-shaking force. One of the others, a brown wolf with yellow eyes, came at me. Elena's training kicked in. I dodged left, used my new speed to get inside its guard, and struck hard at its ribs. The impact jarred my arm, but the wolf yelped and staggered back. It recovered quickly, circling me with renewed wariness. But I could feel Marcus through the bond, feel his presence like a beacon in my mind, and I realized that I could sense his movements, anticipate his attacks. When he lunged at Victor, I knew it a split second before it happened. When Victor countered, I felt Marcus's pain like it was my own. The brown wolf attacked again, and this time I was ready. I caught its foreleg mid-swipe and twisted, using leverage and enhanced strength to throw it off balance. It crashed into a tree with a satisfying thud. Around me, the battle raged. Fur and blood and moonlight. Snarls and growls, and the wet sound of teeth finding flesh. This was brutal. Primal. Nothing like the romantic notion of werewolves I'd had before. This was survival. I was holding my own against the brown wolf when I felt it. A spike of agony through the bond. Marcus was hurt. I turned to see Victor had him pinned, jaws closing around Marcus's throat.
No.
Something inside me snapped. Power flooded through me. Not my power, ours. The bond's power. I screamed, and the sound that came out was not entirely human. Every wolf in the clearing froze.
Turn to look at me.
Because I was glowing. Actually glowing. Golden light pouring from my skin, from my eyes, from the very center of my being. Impossible, Victor snarled, releasing Marcus. She's human. She can't. She's mine, Marcus growled, pulling himself to his feet. And I'm hers. And, together, we're something you can't fight. I ran to him, and when our hands touched, the power doubled.
Tripled.
The bond sang between us, amplifying everything. We moved as one. When Marcus struck, I supported him, my strength adding to his. When I dodged, he covered my flank. We were perfectly synchronized, reading each other's intentions through the bond faster than thought. Victor's pack began to fall back, realizing they were outmatched. This isn't over, Victor snarled. The council will. The council can go to hell, Nathaniel said, stepping forward. His alpha presence rolled over the clearing like thunder. Marcus is under my protection now. You want him, you go through me. And I promise you, Victor, you won't like how that ends. For a long moment, Victor held his ground. Then, slowly, he backed down. This isn't over, he repeated. But there was defeat in his voice. He and his pack melted back into the forest, leaving blood and broken branches in their wake. The glow around me faded. My legs gave out. Marcus caught me before I hit the ground. I've got you, he murmured. You're safe. We're safe. I buried my face in his chest, still wolf-formed, still covered in fur and blood, and let the adrenaline drain away. We'd won. The next few weeks were a blur of adjustment. Nathaniel officially welcomed me into the Grey Ridge Pack as Marcus's mate. It came with protection, support, and a family I hadn't known I was missing. I quit my job at the bookstore. Hard to maintain a normal schedule when you're learning werewolf politics and combat training, and started working with Marcus at his carpentry business. Turns out, enhanced strength makes you really good at heavy lifting. Jess, of course, had questions. So many questions. I told her a version of the truth. That Marcus and I were serious. That I'd be spending more time at his cabin. That I was making some lifestyle changes. She was suspicious, but happy for me. Just don't forget about me when you're off living your fairy tale romance in the woods, she said. If only she knew how close to the truth fairy tale actually was. The changes stabilized, like Marcus said they would. I learned to control the enhanced senses, to manage the strength. The gold in my eyes faded to faint flecks that most people didn't notice unless they looked closely. But the bond remained. Constant. Unwavering. I could feel Marcus always, like a warm presence in the back of my mind. His emotions, his general location, his well-being. And he could feel me. It should have been invasive. Should have felt like losing my privacy, my independence. Instead, it felt like coming home. Like finding the missing piece of myself I hadn't known was gone. One night, about a month after the battle, Marcus and I were sitting on his porch watching the sunset when he said, "I need to tell you something." The serious tone made me nervous. "Okay." "The bond, it's more than what I told you. I didn't want to scare you before, but now that it's settled, now that you're safe." He paused. "You need to know the full truth." "I'm listening." Werewolf bonds are forever. Not just in the romantic sense. Literally forever. When one of us dies, the other doesn't survive it. Can't survive it. The bond is too deep. Too fundamental. I processed this. So we're linked. For life and death. Yes. Is that supposed to scare me? He looked at me, surprised. Most people would be terrified. It's a huge commitment. A permanent one. I took his hand, feeling the bond pulse between us. "Marcus, I was willing to die for you after knowing you for a few hours. You think finding out we're permanently linked is going to change how I feel? Some people would consider it a curse. Some people are idiots." I squeezed his fingers. "I don't have any interest in a life without you in it. If that means we're bound together forever, good. I don't want out. I never wanted out." He pulled me into his arms. "I don't deserve you." "Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway." We sat there as the sun dipped below the horizon, comfortable in the silence, in each other's presence. "There's something else," he said eventually. "Something I've been wondering about." "What?" "The power you manifested during the fight. The golden light. That's not normal for a bonded human. That was something else. Something more." "I've been wondering about that too." "What do you think it was?" "I think." He hesitated. "I think maybe you're not just human with enhancements anymore. I think the bond changed you more fundamentally than we realized." "Into what?" "I don't know. Nathaniel's been researching it. There are legends of bonded mates who became something new. Something that's never existed before. Part human, part wolf, but neither and both at once. A hybrid? Maybe. Or maybe something that doesn't have a name yet. The thought should have been terrifying. Should have made me question everything. Instead, I felt a thrill of excitement. "Good," I said firmly. "Good. I was never that great at being normal anyway. Might as well be spectacularly weird." He laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was beautiful. We talked long into the night about the future, about what this all meant, about the fact that we'd have to be careful, that there were other packs out there, other threats, that Victor's defeat wouldn't be the end of challenges. But we'd face them together. That was the thing about the bond. It didn't make life easier. It didn't solve all our problems or protect us from pain. But it meant we'd never have to face anything alone. "Do you regret it?" Marcus asked as we finally headed inside. "That night in the forest? Everything that came after?" I thought about my old life. My normal, predictable, safe existence. And I thought about this new life. Dangerous and unpredictable and absolutely insane. Full of werewolves and magic and bonds that defied logic. Full of passion and purpose and a love that burned brighter than any I'd ever imagined. "Not for a second," I said truthfully. "You, never. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. Monster and all." "You're not a monster." "No. No. You're mine. That's all that matters." He kissed me then, deep and slow and full of promise. So that's my story. That's how one night with a werewolf changed everything. I went into those woods a normal person with a normal life, and I came out bonded to a creature of legend. Enhanced. Changed. Made into something new. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. People ask me sometimes, the pack members who know the full story, if I miss my old life. If I wish things had gone differently. The answer is always no. Because, yes, this life is complicated. It's dangerous. There are pack politics and territorial disputes and the constant awareness that there are things out there that want to hurt us. But it's also full of magic. Real, actual magic. The kind most people never get to experience. I wake up every morning next to someone who loves me with an intensity that most people only dream about. Who would die for me without hesitation, and who knows I'd do the same for him. I have a family in the pack. People who accept me completely, supernatural weirdness and all. I have purpose. Training to master my abilities. Helping Marcus with his work. Supporting the pack when they need it. I have a life that's anything but boring. And most importantly, I have the bond. This connection that ties me to Marcus on a level deeper than physical, deeper than emotional.
Soul deep. Permanent. Perfect.
Of course, the story doesn't end here. There are still questions to answer. Like what exactly I'm becoming. Whether there will be side effects to the transformation I'm undergoing. There are threats on the horizon. Victor's pack may have backed down, but the council he serves hasn't forgotten about Marcus. About us. There are challenges ahead. Learning to fully control the bond's power. Understanding the extent of my abilities. Figuring out how to balance this supernatural life with maintaining some connection to the normal world. And there's the biggest question of all. What happens at the next full moon? Marcus says I won't transform. That the curse is his alone. But I felt the moon's pull last month. Felt the wildness calling to something deep inside me. And I wonder if the bond has changed the rules. If I'm not quite the human I used to be anymore. Guess we'll find out. But here's what I know for certain. Whatever comes next, whatever challenges we face, whatever I'm becoming, I'll face it with Marcus by my side. Because that's what the bond means. That's what love means, supernatural or not. Forever. For better or worse. Through full moons and pack politics and mysterious transformations. Together. And if you're sitting there thinking, she's crazy. She's absolutely lost her mind. No sane person would choose this life.
You're probably right.
But here's the thing about sanity. It's overrated. I'd rather have one lifetime of this, of passion and magic and danger and love that burns bright enough to light up the darkness, than 100 lifetimes of safe, boring, predictable normalcy. I'd rather be bonded to a werewolf and facing unknown futures than be alone in a comfortable cage. I'd rather be transformed into something new and strange than stay something old and familiar that never quite fit right.
So yes.
One night with a werewolf changed everything. It changed my body, my abilities, my entire understanding of what's possible in this world. But more than that, it changed my heart. It showed me what it means to be truly seen by another person. To be accepted completely, flaws and all. To be loved with an intensity that defies logic and reason. It showed me that I'm braver than I thought, stronger than I knew, capable of things I never imagined. It showed me that sometimes the best things in life come from the worst decisions. That shortcuts through dark forests can lead to destinations you never knew you needed to reach. The full moon rises tonight. I can feel it already, pulling at something deep inside me. The wildness stirring. The power building. Marcus is beside me, his hand in mine. The bond thrums between us, strong and steady. Ready, he asks. Am I ready? Ready to find out what happens when the moon reaches its peak, and I'm standing beside my wolf for the first time since the bond fully formed? Ready to discover what I'm truly becoming? Ready to embrace whatever comes next? I look at him, this man who's also a monster, who's also my soulmate, who's also my forever, and I smile. With you? Always. The moon breaks over the treeline, flooding the clearing with silver light. And I feel it. The change. Not like Marcus's transformation. This is something different. Something new. Golden light begins to emanate from my skin. The same glow from the battle, but stronger now. More controlled. Marcus's eyes widen. What? But I know what this is. I can feel it in my bones, in my blood, in the very core of my being. This is who I was always meant to be. Not human. Not werewolf. But something in between. Something the world has never seen before. A bridge between two worlds. A new kind of magic. The light grows brighter, and I throw back my head and laugh with pure joy. Because this is just the beginning. One night with a werewolf didn't just change everything. It started everything. And I can't wait to see what comes next. So if you're out there listening to this story and thinking about your own life, if you're standing at a crossroads, wondering whether to take the safe path or the dangerous one, If you're debating whether to follow your heart into unknown territory or stay in familiar but unfulfilling circumstances, let me tell you something. Take the shortcut through the dark forest. Say yes to the impossible. Let yourself be transformed. Because maybe you won't meet a werewolf. Maybe your transformation will look completely different from mine. But I promise you this, there is magic out there. Real magic. The kind that changes you fundamentally. The kind that makes you into who you were always meant to be. You just have to be brave enough to reach for it. To let go of who you thought you should be and embrace who you actually are. To risk everything for the chance at something extraordinary. Is it scary? Absolutely. Is it dangerous? Sometimes. Is it worth it?
Every
Single
time. So go.
Find your werewolf. Find your magic. Find whatever it is that makes you feel alive and whole and completely yourself. And when you do, hold on tight. Because one night, one choice, one moment, one leap of faith really can change everything. It changed mine. And I've never looked back. Marcus is calling me. The pack is gathering. The full moon waits for no one. Time to go see what this new version of me can do. Time to embrace the transformation completely. Time to run wild under the moonlight with my wolf beside me and my future stretching out ahead, full of infinite possibility.
This is my story.
But it's also just the beginning. And trust me, the best parts are still to come.